morning. All right, welcome. Happy Thursday night. This is our daily live where we tell you how to turn in content into predictable monthly income. And that's the key, predictable income. The thing that you cannot do under any circumstances with YouTube content, if you're going to rely on the platform to pay you, you absolutely have no control. And if you have no control, here's what happens: you don't make predictable income. You might make good income one month, and then the next month, if you don't get enough views, you don't make as good an income. So it's not ever something that you can rely on. And more these days, people are trying to, or companies are trying to squeeze content creators with brand deals and UGC. They're trying to pay less and less because they're no longer paying big influencers now. Now they're paying you, but they don't want to pay you what the influencers were getting and what the influencers were charging. So you don't have any control. But here's what you do have control over: you have control over deciding, what thing am I going to offer other people? Now, as I always do, I want you to realize how to ask questions. This is how you do it. If you have questions, you put a Q and then a colon and then your question. That way it makes it easier for me to find when I am looking for those questions. Now, you can also tell me where you're from, or if you have never seen me before, you can put a 1 in the comments. If you have seen me before, you can put a 2, but say hey, because here's the thing about these lives: I don't want to be the only one talking. I would much rather you ask questions or you make comments and we have a conversation. I don't like just sitting here having having no interaction with you guys. So I am going to encourage you to participate. So the first thing that we are going to talk about today, and let me move this out of the way, is first off, we're going to talk about who these lives are for. Who should be interested in this? And let's move this over here. So the people that are going to get the most out of this are people that post consistently, but you're still not making much income. Maybe you have 1,000 followers or more, but you're still not making the kind of money that you had hoped you were going to make. Your content is solid, but you aren't getting the views and the reach that you thought you would. You know your field, but you don't know what to sell or how to structure it. Or you have expertise, you know something, you're thinking about making content for it, but you haven't yet, and you don't know how you would turn that content into an offer. And most importantly, you are 40 and over. I need to fix this background because it should say 40 and over, because we are the ones, we have all the real life experience. I'm sorry to anybody who is not that age bracket, but we have the life experience. What I see a lot of people doing under 40 right now. Sorry, I have something in my eye. What I see a lot of people 40 and under doing right now is they're trying to use AI to create something, but it lacks their experience. It lacks their personal knowledge. It lacks their stories of how they learned it. And telling stories of how you learned something, that is one of the most effective ways that you can deliver information and knowledge to people. And the way that you do it is you invest, you learn, and you teach. That is the simplest way to do that. And the reason you do that is because you want to share with somebody what it is that you know. Now, you might be saying to yourself, what could I possibly teach anybody? But this is what you can do. Anything that you, now I have to preface this. You have to, in my opinion anyway, you have got to, as I put a copy of this up on, is it that one? Nope, it's not that one. Where is it here? Vertical teach? Nope, that's not it either. Sorry about that. I'm trying to find. The vertical version of this so I can put it up there for you guys, but I can't seem to find it. I don't know where it went. So you know what we do? We create a duplicate and we move it on over. That's all we do. That's how we do this. That's the beauty of Ecamm. And if you're not familiar with what I'm using, it is a program called Ecamm. And what it does is it replaces Zoom, it replaces Loom, and it replaces a whole bunch of other things that you don't need if you are using the school platform. So what this allows me to do is put images up there so you can see. And the point of putting images up is to show you know what you're talking about and have people look at you differently than they look at other people who are just running boring meetings. So, what can you teach? Well, if you've read 5 books on something, you've put 50 to 100 hours in, and you've gotten a real result. That's all you have to do. That is all you have to do. And then you share that knowledge with other people. That's what this whole thing is about, right? What can you teach? And this can be on any subject that you choose. Any subject whatsoever that you choose, you could do this with. So one of the things that you can do is you can choose from these knowledge buckets, as I call them. And I know I've got both the vertical and the horizontal on this one. Where'd my knowledge buckets go? So this is a knowledge bucket. And knowledge buckets come in 3 forms. But I'm going to show you how to go deeper than that so you can figure out what you want. So the knowledge buckets, I know it's there. I know there's a vertical knowledge bucket here somewhere because I just saw it. Just saw it. Nope, that is not it. That's the knowledge bucket. Now where's the vertical? No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, well. All right. So here's the knowledge buckets. And again, let's just go ahead and move it on over. And I talk about this every single day because you think that you need to have this massive following, you need to have this massive knowledge. And all you need to do is borrow on what you already have. You have $100,000 idea in your head. The only thing that's stopping you from realizing that is you haven't digitized your knowledge and you haven't created a place where people can go learn that knowledge. That's the only thing separating you from a potentially $100,000 idea. Now, look, I'm not going to say you're going to make millions or you're going to make hundreds of thousands a month or even tens of thousands a month, but I can tell you with pretty much certainty that if you choose one of these 3 categories, and I can't choose this for you because what I am doing is different than what you are doing. So it's about a career you've had. And believe me, I've had 7 careers and I've had 16 or 17 jobs. So if I wanted, I have a variety of careers that I could teach people, right? Sections of careers, because you don't have to teach them the whole career. You need to teach them one of the most important facets of that career that's going to move them ahead or that's going to help them get a job. Or you can teach a problem. Let's say that you have an issue that you have overcome yourself with health, wealth, or happiness in relationships. You can teach that to other people. Or you can teach a passion to people. And when I say a passion, I'm talking about something that you do, you've been doing for free, you love, you can't stop talking about it. You could talk about it for an hour without any notes. And your natural love for that thing comes through. So you are able to share it with other people. That's what we essentially are talking about here. And I'm going to share with you somebody who is doing just that right now. Let me find her. Where is she here? She is. And she actually calls herself the Bird Nerd, which I love. I think that is so funny. I think that's the best. Let's see if we can find. Let's see if we can find her here. Let's look for the Bird Nerd. Because this is a perfect example of somebody who isn't. There she is. All right, so here's the Bird Nerd. And I'm going to show you on the screen right here. Okay, so let me take you over to the Bird Nerd. So here is Angela, okay? And Angela does not have, as you can see here, she does not have a huge social media presence. If you can barely see that, she only has 1,400 subscribers. But what she is currently doing with those 1,400 subscribers is she's now making well over $3,200 a month. That's right, I did say that. Now, you will look and you will see that she doesn't have a lot of views. Not only doesn't she have tons of subscribers, she doesn't have tons of views. And if she were getting paid by the platform for her subscribers, she'd probably only be looking at about $13. Because look at this, 64 views, 325 views. This one was a couple of months ago. That was a short. That was 1,500 views. But if you look at her recent videos from a month, 2 months or so ago, she doesn't get huge views. But what she's doing is she is sharing something she loves, and then she is getting people off of this platform, and she is sending them to, ta-da, her school group. So again, here is Angela. And if you were not aware, this Shamrock means she is earning in the top 10% of earners on school. That Shamrock means that she's making at least $3,000 a month. And what she's doing is she's just saying, hey, this is for birders. Come on in. And she's got 285 members. After a 7-day free trial, which I highly recommend for any community, people are paying her $15 a month. So try 7 days for free, get 20% off when you upgrade to annual. That's interesting. And then she's got upcoming in real life experiences. And so they have calls, grab a beverage, have a bird themed drink with us, space to share birding wins, where you just talk about birds. And that's what they're called. Birding is what people call themselves who do this. But this is her whole strategy. Do content on YouTube, put your school link in your bio, and then people show up. 285 people, $15 a month. making well over $3,000 a month. Simple, right? It's not complicated. And people need to realize that it is not about your views. It is not about your followers. It is simply about what can I teach other people that A, I'm going to love teaching, and B, I've proved that I'm good at. That is all we are talking about. So, and again, this is all about, let me show you an image that completely changed my life when I saw this about 3 years ago. It was this image on a whiteboard on a guy's TikTok live that changed the trajectory of my life because I understand for the first time how simple an online business could be. It wasn't about selling courses. It wasn't about selling somebody else's courses. It wasn't about funnels and landing pages and email sequences, which are all, they're great. They still work, but they don't work as well and as simply as this. All you need to do is find a problem you can solve. Well, in Angela's case, she's not really solving a problem so much as she is fulfilling a need of people who want to hang out with other people that are interested in bird watching. That's all she's doing. And so, again, they go from point A, current state, to point B, desired state. I don't have anybody I can bird watch with. And again, these quote unquote problems, sometimes they're not really problems at all, but they are just a way to connect with other like minded people. So, but if you're solving a problem, if you're solving a problem related to health, wealth, or happiness, or a career, a passion, or a problem, or hobbies, spirituality, music, tech, health, sports, money. What else did I have there? Relationships, right? If you're solving one of those problems, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify the problem. That's the first thing you do. The second thing you do is you help someone understand the root cause of their problem. Help them understand why they're having the problem. What knowledge don't they have, or what skill don't they have that is keeping them from getting to whatever their point A to point B is? So you identify the problem, because a lot of times people think they have one problem and they don't. They've got another problem. But sometimes you have to tell them what the problem actually is, because they don't know. But once you tell them, a lot of times they're going to be like, wow, how did they know that's what my problem was? Or that's exactly how I'm feeling. And this is a phenomenon called neuromarketing, where what you're saying to other people, your ideal audience, what you're saying to that person is the conversation they're already having in their head. And when you can articulate what it is they're thinking about in their head, and you can articulate it in in content or in some sort of message that you're delivering people, when you can do that, they are like, how did they know that? How are they in my head like that? And then the next step that naturally takes place is they say, well, if they understand my problem that well, they're probably the best person to help me solve my problem. Does that make sense? And again, if you have questions while we're going through all of this, I want you to go ahead and put them like this. Put them like this. Ask your questions with a Q, colon, and then put your question there. That way I can find your question when it's time for me to answer it. But what I'm going to do, since we don't seem to have a lot of interaction going on, what I'm going to do, I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do since we don't seem to have a lot of questions, is I'm going to go to the schoolers page, and we're just going to pick out some questions at random that we can answer there before we get out of here. So this is the place where people who have school groups hang out. And let's see. Need suggestions to help an unengaged community. Hello, all. This is Michael Henry. Michael says, hello, all. I would like your suggestions is to help this community I created about a week ago. And after doing a bunch of research, I decided to make it free so I could get a core of founding members who were engaged in a vibrant community before converting to paid. After doing some more research, I'm beginning to realize that was probably a mistake and I should have made it paid right from the start. Right now I have 18 members, and no matter what I do, no matter what I post, the community is just dead. It's crickets. And I understand that. More than you could possibly know, I understand that phenomenon. Because, let me see if I can find my group to show you. Let me see if I can find my group, my old group. I used to have a group. And is it on settings, communities? Maybe it's there. Let's see. I don't think you can see it. Oh, here it is. So this is my old group. Now, at one point, this group got to, and look at this, I'm still getting membership pending requests. That's crazy to me. And both these people seem to have high spam risks scores, and requested 37 days ago, decline, and 37 days ago, decline. Anyway, so I used to have this community. And if you look, you will see that this community at one point had 687 members. You'll also see that that community was free. Huge mistake. Now, at the time, I didn't know any better. Okay, so no harm, no foul. But then I created this one. I archived that one, and I created this one. And this one has grown slower, but by eventually making it paid, here's what you do. You actually create a better community when you make it paid, because you're only going to attract people who are action takers. You are only going to attract people who have some skin in the game, so they're going to participate. I remember when I joined my first community here on Skool, there were 400 people in this community, and they were all paying. But there were only 15 actual active members, despite the fact they were paying. There were 15 actual active members, and out of the 15, only 7 went through everything and did the homework and showed their homework and got the result that the community was supposed to give them. Only 7 out of 400 something. So you can imagine the amount of, for lack of a better word, dead weight that I had with a free community with 687 people in it. The vast majority of those people joined the community and never logged into that community again. And I just got to the point where I was fed up with dealing with people that weren't serious, right? They weren't going to do the things that I was showing them how to do in the community. They weren't going to participate. They weren't going to be active. They weren't going to answer questions or ask questions. They weren't going to show what they had been doing so they could get feedback and make it better. Some of them never even took step 1 in my classroom. So what this allowed me to do is realize people who pay attention. And if people who pay attention, they're going to get results. And if they get results, guess what happens? They become great testimonials for you. Like my friend Cindy. She followed everything that I told her to do. Everything. And she parlayed a audience on another platform to $3,000 a month. MRR is monthly recurring revenue. And she parlayed that to $3,000 a month in 30 days. 30 days, she had 30 members, $3,012 of MRR. Then you have my friend Ray. Ray is one of my favorite stories because Ray's 67 years old now. When I first met Ray, he was 65. And he would come on my lives for about 3 months on a daily basis. He would show up on my lives and he would ask questions like, Chuck, do you think I can do this? Do you think teaching English as a second language would work with this platform? And I said, Ray, absolutely it would. I said, as a matter of fact, a lot of language communities do very well on this platform. That's exactly what I told him. I said, lots of them do well. So after spending 90 days watching and overthinking, he finally launched his community. And within 30 days, Ray was at $1,300 a month of recurring revenue. Now, when Ray and Cindy got started, you only had one option, and that was start a community that costs $99 a month for you to run. Now we have a $9 option. So now we have a hobby option and we have a pro option. Most people get started with the $9 option. So think about the profit on a $9 community at $3,000 a month in revenue. Or think about the profit on a $9 community with $1,300 in revenue. And the reason this is such a highly profitable business model and so many people are flocking to it, 166,000, I believe, have at least one school community. The reason is because it's inexpensive to run. You don't need funnels. You don't need landing pages. You don't need email sequences. You don't need all this fancy tech. All you need is an idea and a place to house that idea. That's all you need. That is all you need. Now, let's go back and let's go look at some other success stories inside of Skool. And we're going to filter by only paid communities. Now, these communities right now are what we call the trending communities. They're in the top 30 of trending communities on the platform. And as you will see, there's lots of AI here, but I don't want you to get discouraged by thinking that's all this is a tech bro community. It's not, or a bro marketing community. It is not. Now, here's AI Bootcamp, and they're running advertising, and they're getting literally hundreds of thousands of visits to their About page every single month. But they are a highly successful community. Then you have this one, which is Claude Code, and there's 7.8 thousand members, $9 a month. You can do the math on that one. But the primary owner of this is a guy named Duncan Rogoff, and you can see that he has the crown on Skool, which is top 2% income earners on the platform. Now, results vary. Your results aren't going to necessarily be like his results, but I'm just showing you. So we've got Claude, which is AI. We've got AI Video Bootcamp. But here's what we have here, and I think this is really cool. Here you got Constantine, right? Constantine's earning somewhere between $3,000 a month and $9,999 a month. And he's got what's called the Medical Courier Hub, daily job leads, real contacts and pricing help if you want to set up your own medical courier company. And he shows you how to go after government contracts. He shows you how to get business. He shows you how to get your first clients for your medical courier program, right? So it is an opportunity to learn from somebody who has been a medical courier and he's teaching you how to do it. Here's a guy who's got a peptide community that's doing very, very well. Here's another peptide community that is trending. You've got a faceless YouTube using AI community. You've got Mike Chang's Flow community. I don't know what this is. Calm your nervous system in 20 minutes. There you go. That is his community. You've got AI growth communities. You've got ad communities like this one from this woman named Evelyn. You've got Paid to Travel Club. You've got UGC. What else do you have here? Here's another faceless YouTube. Here's another Meta Ads community. Here's a credit community. Here's branding yourself with AI, which I don't necessarily agree with. Here is a health equals looks community where the guy teaches you how to get in better shape so you look better, right? Here's School of Mentors. Here's a truck dispatch group. Here is a CapCut group. And these people are in the top 30. Now let's keep going. Here's another peptides group. Here is a vibe coding group. Here is a build silver jewelry group. Here is Rescue Academy, calling all future EMTs and paramedics. Let's pass the National Registry on the first attempt. So what he's doing is he's helping people in first responders to pass a very important test. Then you've got this one. This is one of my favorite communities. So Lizzie she does crochet, but she doesn't just do regular old crochet. She does fantasy crochet. So if you look at some of the stuff that she's done, look at this. Here is, I don't know if that's Rudolph or what. And then you've got other fantasy characters, right? She shows you how to do the crochet, but she's showing you how to do specific crochet. Like I said, this is fantasy. So these are all like fantasy characters, like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, and then you've got these people right here. I completed the Stitchcraft 101, and that's a testimonial for her. And then here's some more. I believe this is a Harry Potter crochet. So you've got all of these different things that this woman is teaching. And there is something really powerful about these groups that originate from somebody's goofy passion, if you want to use that word. So if you want to learn how to do this, that is exactly why I created for 40 and over creators. And again, let's revisit who this is actually for. If you are one of these people, what I'm going to suggest, and you want to learn how this works and how simple it can be to turn content into monthly predictable income, what I'm going to suggest to you is that you check out our community. And what's going on here? Why is that not showing up? Oh, because I don't have that there anymore. There we go. That is why. Where are we here? There we go. That's what I wanted. Boop. That's it. So this is my community, and you saw a sneak peek of it before, but this is my community. And what we do in my community is we show you how to turn your content into monthly income. Income you can count on without needing more views, without needing more subscribers, right? Because if you look at mine, I don't have that many subscribers. If we go to my YouTube channel, let's view my channel, and then let's go back to screen share here, right? You'll see on my channel, I don't have that many subscribers. I've only got 1.47 thousand subscribers. So I'm just shy of 1,500. And if you look, if I was relying on AdSense, according to vidIQ, what I could reasonably expect is $57 a month. Well, I make a lot more than that because I've got my own community on Skool. As a matter of fact, from affiliates alone, I have made almost $10,000. How long would it take you to make that if you were relying on your content, right? So this is our community, and it is free for 7 days. And the reason I make it free for 7 days is for this. And let me get rid of this. The reason I make this free for 7 days is because if you're 40 and over and you're a content creator, you don't know whether or not this is for you. You have no idea because you can't make an informed decision from the outside of someplace. That's why I do a free trial. You can't make a decision that is based on facts from the outside looking in. Just like you can't or you shouldn't buy a car before you test drive the car. I don't know anybody who would buy a car sight unseen without test driving it. Because what if it looks great online or it looks great in the showroom, but then you get out and, ooh, I don't like the way this handles, or ooh, this is uncomfortable. Nobody would do that. So you test drive the vehicle. You also would not buy a house by just looking inside the windows and saying, yep, I like this house, let's buy it. Most people would not do that either. So why would you try to make a decision on something, whether or not it's for you, without getting on the inside and checking it out? And so that's why we have the 7-day free trial. Now, in that 7-day free trial, you have access to almost everything inside that community. You have access to the message board where you can post, you can ask questions, you can share wins. You have access to that. You have access to 90% of the classroom inside of the 7 days. You have access to one of our weekly calls where you can jump on and you can find out answers to questions, and we can work together and we can audit some of your ideas. You have access to a leaderboard where if you rank in the top 10 on the leaderboard for 30 days, you'll get a $50 cash prize. We give away cash prizes. So you get access to all of that in that first 7 days. And by the end of that 7-day trial, you're going to know whether or not this is for you. And if it's not for you, then great. Cancel anytime. No questions asked. No big deal. All right. So that is our community, and that is our live for tonight. I'm going to check one more time. I don't see any questions. What's up, Lewis? How are you? I'm sorry that I just now am seeing your comment. Hello there, sir. But look, this is a simple thing. YouTube content, link in bio to school. It doesn't get any simpler than that. And setting up a community can happen in 5 minutes. And if you use my link once you get inside of the community and you use my link to start yours, which is right there. When you go to start your school community and you say create your community, you get 14 days free to try out the hobby plan at $9 a month after the first 14 days. Or you can try the pro plan. Now, I personally don't think most people need the pro plan. I think you're just fine with the hobby plan at first because you can have as many members as you want. You can have as many classrooms as you want. You can have as many live calls as you want. You just pay a little bit higher transaction fee. You can't get a custom URL, and you cannot participate in the automatic affiliate program. But then once you get to the point where you're making some money, then you can upgrade. Then you will get 2.9% transaction fees instead of 10. You can get a custom URL, and you can participate in the affiliate program. So that's the advantage of Pro, but you don't need Pro in the beginning. You need a $9 hobby plan on school. And try it for 14 days. Now look, if you only try it for 14 days, you're not going to see results, but you should see enough evidence in 14 days that thousands and thousands of people are succeeding with this, and you should be able to as well. Okay? All right, guys, that is it for me tonight. I want to thank you for being here, but we're going to go ahead and get out. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments of the recording of this live stream or drop them in the comments of any of my videos. I will be happy to address those. Okay? Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.